Everything went wrong. I broke the bow, then I broke it again, then I broke it again. I forgot to glue things, all the water leaked out. I sealed it again and it refused to dry clear. Did this diorama ever get finished? Find out today. On this episode of Jumpstart Hobbies we have the great Archduke Mousin on a forest adventure, and a deadly viper ready to attack. To build the scene, we'll use some foam, coconut fiber, Vallejo still water texture, and a Tootsie Roll can. With the subject of this diorama decided, I download the 3D models and slice them for printing. After printing and attaching the snake together, I notice some gaps in the body. I pour out some resin and place it in the cracks, curing it with a UV flashlight to seal the gaps. Then I begin planning out my colors. Once the paints have been selected, I cleared the desk. Let's get to work. I start by priming them black before using some white ink to give the models a zenithal highlight. To save some time, I use the airbrush to apply some shades of green to the snake, letting the zenithal spray accentuate my shadows. And using a brighter color where the sun hits. Then I move to the paint desk for base coats. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button for weekly content like this. For the base, I mark and cut foam core board to raise the ground surface. I use a block of foam and cut it in the rough form of a rock. I mark the area where I want a mud puddle to be and cut that section out. I use Mod Podge to glue down the foam surface and the rock shape. Then I take the Tootsie Roll can, prime it black, then glue it down as well. I create a mixture of glue, plaster, and water to shape the landscape and to create a bark texture on the Tootsie Roll can to make it a tree. Then I prime everything black. Next, I dry brush with different shades of gray to bring the rock to life. When the rock is finished, I apply some shades of brown to the area where the mud puddle will be. I apply a brown base coat to the tree as well before creating the ground terrain. Using watered down white glue, I adhere coconut fiber as a forest floor. I spray the scene with alcohol and more watered down glue to seal it. That's when I realized I forgot to add the snake. So I pushed some ground terrain out of the way and put the snake where it was meant to go. But once I smooth out the terrain around the model, I realized I forgot to glue the snake down. So I hope to myself that the residual white glue and layers of sealed terrain will hold the snake in place. I apply some extra glue and coconut fiber to blend the base into the scene. Then I clean up the desk and add some layers of dry brushing to the tree bark. When the tree is done, I super glue the mouse into place. To create the water puddle, I try a quick and easy wall of packing tape to hold in the water effects. I should have learned my lesson last time by smoothing the wood edge surface and sealing the edges better. So when I pour the water texture, it immediately started leaking, as well as breaking the bow for the second time. I hoped that the liquid would solidify before it all leaked out, but I was sadly mistaken. So before I tried again, I decided to add a smooth layer to the sides with another plaster and glue mix. While I wait for that to dry, I add some green ink to the snake where I want to push the shadows. When it's time to try the water again, I apply the packing tape, but this time I seal the edges with clear UV resin. Then I start applying the water texture again. I somehow didn't learn my lesson the first time because I end up breaking the bow for the third time during this process. But the water effect is placed and now I just have to let it dry clear to show the mud color underneath. Except for some reason it dries milky white and the process seems ruined all over again. But I persevere and trim the raised edges, vowing to just do resin pours from now on. Then I decide to use translucent brown to color the failed water effect. I try brushing it on before resorting to the airbrush and then seal it with gloss Mod Podge. With every broken piece glued back together and some final touches added, it's finally time for the big reveal.